All right, so welcome and thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. We appreciate all of you. We're grateful for your loyalty and support for all these years. Last year was rough for so many of us. We learned how to do business differently and how to be the most productive while working from home. Zoom became the go-to place to learn and connect with coworkers, friends, and family. So you may be wondering, why would a realtor offer Zoom presentations? Well, as a trusted real estate professional, we meet with our clients. They often ask for referrals to painter, estate planning attorney, babysitter, you name it. So we've developed relationships throughout the years with numerous business owners that we highly recommend. We're currently putting together a business directory of all the business professionals that we work with. Ed and I decided to create a series of Zoom presentations that could benefit people we know and to connect one another. I was introduced to Brian Matsen and Scott Plamondin at a professional business organization about 6 years ago, and they are experts in their industry. I'm grateful to know them and greatly appreciate them being with us today. Last year was the best year of my 21-year career. And I want to thank Brian Matsen for all he has taught me. And now I'm bringing him here to share his wisdom with all of you. Brian Matsen is an elite level mindset coach working with business owners, entrepreneurs, business and sales professionals. With a degree in business management from Utah Valley University, he went on to work for some of the largest financial companies worldwide. Throughout his career, he has been a top performer and leader, receiving numerous sales awards and honors. He is also a successful entrepreneur, investor, and keynote speaker. Brian is committed to providing his clients with exceptional quality, professionalism, and integrity. He dedicates further time to coaching youth sports, serving as a board member of a nonprofit organization, church leadership, and spending time with his wife and 2 boys. Let's welcome Brian Matsen.
All right, thank you, Julie. I'm going to share my screen here with everybody. Can everybody see that?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, great. Julie, thank you so much for the introduction. It is such an honor and privilege to be here with you today. I have so much respect for Julie. She's a great friend. She's a client. She's also sold my home recently, which I'm very appreciative of. She did a great job, and I'm just really excited to be here with you today. Here's my promise to you. What I'm going to show you today is how 7-figure business owners, elite athletes, and peak performers create and achieve massive goals. I really want to offer you a breakthrough, a blueprint to make quantum leaps in your results. And I'm going to show it to you through the material that I teach my clients. The first concept that I really want you to grasp, and I want all of my clients to grasp, is that you can create your own economy. It doesn't matter what the housing market is doing. It doesn't matter what the stock market is doing, what the GDP growth rate is. You can literally create your own economy. And a lot of my clients had the best years of their career last year, just like Julie did, because they had a completely different mindset than most people, the majority. And they really had this concept embedded into their mind that they can create their own economy and their own income despite of what's going on. Now, I want to talk about success, and a lot of people have different definitions of success, but I want to share with you my favorite definition. And this comes from the great Earl Nightingale, who's really the father of the personal development industry. He said, "Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal." Now, I love that definition because what it's stating there is anyone that has a predetermined goal, something that is worthy of them, that's worthy of their life, anybody that's going after a predetermined goal is successful. It's not just the person that reaches the goal, It's the person that has made a committed decision to go after something that's worthy of them. They're successful from that moment on as they pursue it. Now, I'm going to talk about things that you might not have expected today when it comes to, creating your own economy and how to have the best year of your career. We're going to talk a lot about the mind. You see, all of us have a mind, and our minds operate by law. Leaders throughout the ages have disagreed on all kinds of things, but the one thing that they have agreed upon is this: we become what we think about. I want all of you to take full control of the way you think. The mind is limitless. It is powerful, but very few people understand how to use it. I love this quote from Napoleon Hill, who of course is the author of one of the greatest books of all time, Think and Grow Rich. He said, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." Now, one of the things that we have in our marvelous mind that's so powerful is the imagination. All of us have an imagination, and that's really what separates, again, us from all of the other creatures in the world, right? We have an imagination. We can create images, pictures on the screen of our minds. No one has the power to make you think what you don't want to think. And your imagination is really the starting point of the creative process. So my question to each of you is, what is it that you want? What is it that you really want? And are you willing to explore it? And that takes us right into one of my favorite subjects, which is goals. High performers in any industry, whether it's world-class athletes or seven-figure business owners, the thing that separates them is their goals. Now, a lot of people are confused about what the real purpose of a goal is. Goals are not meant to get, they are to grow. When you achieve the goal, it's the icing on the cake, but it's the person that you become in the process. Now, once you attain a goal, you will quickly become dissatisfied, and then it'll be time to set a new one. What I want you to do is let your mind wander and allow it to explore what it is you really want. It's really quite interesting, but most people don't even spend the time thinking about what it is they really want in their lives. A goal is an idea that you decide to pursue, like we talked about earlier, just like Earl so eloquently stated in that quote. Now, there's three types of goals, and I want to go over each of these quickly with you. The first kind of goal is goals that you already know how to do. The problem with these type of goals is there's absolutely no growth attached to them. There's no excitement, there's no energy around them. You already know how to do it. The second type of goal is a goal that you think you can do. And this is the type of goal that I think even a lot of the people that would consider themselves goal setters, this is the kind of goals that they set. It's the type of goal where they say, if I do this and this and this, then I can grow my business by 10%, maybe 15% this year. So there's a little bit of a stretch there. You might stretch yourself a little bit, but again, is it really going to get you excited and energized to get out of bed every morning? I don't think so. The only kind of goal that you really want to go after is your wants. It's the things that you really, really want deep down inside. It's the things that you create with your imagination. This is what separates, again, high performers from non-high performers. They're going after what it is they really want. They're not settling. They're not settling. The majority of the population is settling. Now, I always say that people without goals are lost. It's like they have no compass. They have no GPS, right? I love this quote from Robert Heinlein, one of the greatest quotes I think ever. He said, "In the absence of clearly defined goals, we become strangely loyal to performing daily trivia until we ultimately become enslaved by it." Now, isn't that the truth? Think about that. Have there been times in your lives when you just felt stuck and really weren't growing? It's because you weren't going after something that was important to you. This is the way majority of people live. Now, again, what is your goal? What is it that you really want? I'm going to explain something now that is very basic, right? There's only two things you need to know, must know, to create wealth, to succeed. Number one, you have to know where you are. And number two, you have to know where you are going. Now that seems very simple, very obvious, right? If so, why is it there are so many people that feel stuck? Well, we talked about one reason, right? A lot of people don't have goals at all. And if they do, they don't have the right type of goals. So that definitely plays a part. But the bigger part is this right here. It's where you are. People aren't honest with themselves about where they really are. And what's keeping them there is what's called a paradigm. Now, every one of us has a paradigm. What is a paradigm? A paradigm is a mental program that controls our habitual behavior. And of course, almost all of our behavior is habitual. So it literally controls almost everything that we do. In fact, neuroscientists say that 96 to 98% of our habitual behavior is controlled by our paradigm. So it, again, literally has almost exclusive control over all of our results. Now, what I want to share with you right now is the different areas of our life that our paradigm has enormous influence over. The first one is perception, which is how we view things. It's how we see the world. It has an enormous influence over how we use our time every day, over our creativity, our effectiveness, our productivity, and how our logic is structured. And of course, our ability to earn money. Now, this paradigm, that I'm talking about, that we all have, that's stored in our subconscious mind, literally has us boxed in. And the only way that we can tear down those walls of that box and get what we want is to make a decision, a committed decision to do so, to get out of our comfort zone, to become better, to grow. Now, just imagine how your entire life will change as you begin improving any or all of these areas that are on the right-hand side of your screen right now. The change will be huge and permanent. See, when you change your paradigm, you don't go back. It's a permanent change. Now, I want you to think about this. What if you improved the way you use your time every day? That one thing alone would have an enormous impact on your ability to earn money. All right, let's take a look at the mind and paradigms. Specifically, let's look at your mind and your paradigms. In 1934, there was a gentleman named Thurman Fleet who was very interested in the healing arts and holistic health. And he stated, the mind is an activity, not a thing. No one has ever seen the mind. In order to gain clarity and eliminate confusion, I will create an image we can work with. You see, when most people think about their mind, what comes on the screen of their mind is the brain. Well, your brain is not your mind. Your brain is a physical, tangible thing. It's an electronic switching board. But no one's ever seen the mind because mind is activity. But yet there's a lot of confusion around that because, like I said before, we think in pictures. So what this gentleman did, this Dr. Fleet, is that he came up with an image that would help give us order. One of my great mentors, Bob Proctor, stated that this was the most important or valuable idea that he's ever learned in 60 years of studying the mind. So this is the simple image, right? Very simple, not sophisticated, but this big circle right here represents our mind. And there's two main parts of our mind, the conscious and the subconscious. Our mind literally controls our physical body and controls our actions, our behavior, and ultimately our results. There's a reason why I have this little circle here as the body, why it's a smaller circle, because this is really what controls everything that we do. It's the mind. Now, I want to give you a little bit more information on the difference between our conscious and subconscious and why it's so important to understand this. You see, our conscious mind is our thinking mind. It's where we reason. It's where our intellect resides and all our intellectual faculties. It's where all of our knowledge is stored. Everything you've ever learned in school, in your professional studies, all the books that you've read, all of that knowledge is stored in your conscious mind. Your conscious mind has the ability to accept or reject any thought or idea that's presented to it. We have the ability to reason. It's where all of our thoughts originate. Now, if you look at the subconscious mind, it's very different. This is often referred to as our emotional mind. It's where our memories are stored. It's where all of our habits reside, our conditioned beliefs, our self-image, which is how we view ourselves. And the big difference between the subconscious and the conscious is that the subconscious mind will literally accept, it must accept everything that's impressed upon it. So here in the conscious mind, you have the ability to accept or reject thoughts or ideas. The subconscious mind is completely subjective. It'll accept whatever you impress upon it, whether it's real or imagined. Now, as I stated before, your paradigm, which is literally controlling everything that you do on a daily basis, it's stored there in your subconscious mind. All of these things right here make up your paradigm, your habits, your conditioned beliefs, and your paradigm. And that paradigm sets your body into motion. It determines your actions, your behavior, and ultimately your results. Now, when we get thoughts or ideas in our mind, it creates a picture. As I stated before, we think in pictures. Those pictures are then impressed upon our subconscious, and it determines the way we feel. Those feelings then determine our actions and our behavior and ultimately give us our results. Now, if we don't like the results that we're getting, what can we do to change them? Well, let me show you. We got to start thinking differently. So we originate different new ideas, new thoughts, and that creates a new picture on the screen of our conscious mind. That picture is then impressed upon our subconscious, and we get a new feeling. That new feeling leads to new actions, new behavior. And what do we get? We get the desired results that we're looking for. So I want to turn some attention now to the self-image, because this is really important. It's a huge part of our paradigm, a huge part of our success and whether we ever achieve what it is that we want in life. The self-image sets boundaries for individual accomplishment. And I love this. You can never outperform your self-image. If you're here and you want to go up here, your paradigm or your self-image has to be aligned with that new goal, or you'll never achieve it. So here's how your self-image works. It's really the Pygmalion effect. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You see, our beliefs about ourselves influence our actions towards other people. which impact others' beliefs about us, which cause others' actions towards us, which reinforce what? Our beliefs about ourselves. I'm going to go over that one more time real quickly. Our beliefs about ourselves, the way we view ourselves, influence how we act towards others, which impacts others' beliefs about us, which cause others' actions towards us, which again reinforce our beliefs about ourselves. That's why it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And if you don't view yourself well, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy of doom, because you get caught up in that loop. Now, your self-image can be compared to a cybernetic mechanism. And I'll give you a real easy example of what a cybernetic mechanism is. A cybernetic mechanism is an autopilot, for example, on a commercial plane. If you were to get on a plane wherever you live right now and fly across the country, most likely that plane is going to get off course a little bit during the course of that flight. Well, a flight pattern is programmed into the plane's computer system. And when the plane goes off, the cybernetic mechanism, or that autopilot, measures the deviation from the set goal and corrects the flight pattern. Well, your self-image does the same exact thing. And let me show you this. This is something I show to business owners and sales professionals all the time. So again, your self-image is stored in your subconscious. It's part of your paradigm. Now, let's say you're going along and you're going at a normal clip with your business. And then all of a sudden you have a huge month or two. And you feel like, wow, I'm on a roll. I'm finally kind of broken through the ceiling. I'm going to start doing much better now. But what happens? That cybernetic mechanism, that self-image, pulls you right back down. And by the end of the year, you end up with the exact same sales results as you do year after year. Why does that happen? By the way, this can happen in the other direction too. You can end up doing more poorly, and then all of a sudden you'll get pulled right back to what your norm is. That's because of your self-image. That is a cybernetic mechanism, and it's powerful. So you got to ask yourself, what image are you holding of yourself? If you're going up and down, I can guarantee you it's because of your self-image and your paradigm. If you want to change that, you've got to change your paradigm. You've got to change your self-image so that you can go up and keep going up. Now, I love this quote from our Buckminster Fuller. He said, "Never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete." And that's what we all have to do. Now, there's two ways. You might say, Brian, this sounds great, but how do we change it? Well, the only way to change your self-image or your paradigm is through, one, a strong emotional impact. Something happens outside and alters your perception of the world. Unfortunately, these are generally negative or painful events, and few get up from them, and most continue to relive them through their habits throughout their lives. I mean, if you just were to take a second and think about it, I'm sure you can recall one or more in your own life. The other way that you can do it, and if you understand this, this will change your life like night and day, okay? It's through the constant repetition of new thought and ideas over a period of time. The great Andrew Carnegie, who was the richest man in the world at his time, said, "Any idea that is held in the mind that is feared or revered will clothe itself in the most convenient form available." Isn't that interesting? We become what we think about. If you grasp the power of this, like I said, it'll alter your life forever. So what you need to do is you need to build a clear mental picture of what it is that you want, your goal in all its glory, and keep it on the screen of your mind using your will, and it'll move into physical form. Your life will start to change. That's again how all these high achievers do it. whether they're athletes or business owners, it doesn't matter. They all use the same formula, whether it's consciously done or unconsciously. This is really a black and white deal. It does not matter how hard you work. And I tell my clients this all the time. It does not matter how hard you work or how many hours you put in. If the paradigm does not change, ultimately the results will remain much the same from one year to the next. I want to thank you again for giving me this opportunity to present. Thank you so much, Julie. I hope you all enjoyed this, and I'll open it up for a few questions if anybody has any questions.
Go ahead, Christopher.
Christopher, go ahead.
How you doing? I want everybody to know, thank you, Brian. I am motivated. I am honored. I want you to know that your hostess, Miss Wright, has been pumping you up for like the last 2 weeks, you and all the speakers today. Said, you got to be here. She even sent me a reminder text last night. I said, I'll be there. It's a date. It's a date.
Thank
Brian,
you.
Thank you for that uplifting service. I just want to ask, can you leave your email or whatever so I can, reconnect with you? I have a foundation, a 501c3 foundation, and financial literacy and business development is the charity's goal or the outreach.
Great.
And I'm always going to need vendors in the future. So I'd like to keep you, definitely, as they say, my Rolodex. I hope I didn't date myself, but, I turned 60 last week. So, but anyway.
Absolutely.
But definitely. And other than that, can you tell us a little bit more about your business right quick? And then I'll let everyone else ask you questions. I just want to know, how did you get into this space? How has it worked for your clients? And again, how can we reach you to follow up with you again later after today?
Sure. Yeah, great question. Yeah, you bet. So I spent a good portion of my career in the investment management, asset management business. Again, working for huge financial companies. Throughout my tenure in that career, I studied personal development. I've been studying personal development for 20 to 25 years, and I credit a big part of my success to that study. And so about 4 years ago, I decided to make that just a practice where I went out and helped entrepreneurs, business owners, sales professionals take their businesses to the next level. And so, yeah, it's both the mental and the mindset side, as well as the mechanical side that I teach. And so I have clients in every industry imaginable, and I have clients all over the world. So, yeah.
Okay, and then also a couple more minutes. If anyone has any other questions for Brian, then Brian, also put your contact information in the chat box for us.
Absolutely. Yep. And I'll say it verbally too, for those that end up watching on the recording. It's just brian@brianmatsen.com. So BRIAN@brianmatsen, MATSEN.com.
Perfect. All right. Excellent. Anybody have any other questions for Brian?
Hey, Brian, excellent presentation, my man. I was listening in the car. I couldn't really see as many of the slides. I was driving, but I love what you were saying about the mind. Can you maybe share an example of, like, you do like a meditation or a practice where you can sit and visualize, or is there any resources that maybe you would suggest to really rehearse and implement these strategies you shared with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So I love visualization, and I do it every day. So that's a part of it, right? That's a form of auto-suggestion where you're taking something from the conscious and you're impressing it upon the subconscious. So I do that through visualization. If you're in sales or in business, you should spend 5 minutes every morning visualizing yourself, bringing new customers into your business, making closes, right? Making sales. Another good way to do it is get a goal card. Write your goal down on a goal card and carry it with you everywhere you go. Repeat it throughout the day. I can just touch it and it automatically just goes right through my entire system. I don't even have to read it because I have that connection to this goal card. It states exactly what it is that I'm going after. And as far as your self-image, what I would do is I would write out a statement of exactly the kind of person that you want to be. So Andrew, for example, if your goal was, I don't know, let's say I want to make $50,000 a month or $100,000 a month, I would write out a description of who is that version of Andrew that's doing that? Who is that man that's producing that result? And you write that out in present tense as if you're already that person, and you start thinking and acting like that person, and it'll change. I guarantee you, your subconscious will do the rest of the work.
I love it. You're the man, Brian. That was fantastic, brother. Thank you.
Awesome.
You bet, Andrew.
Thanks, Andrew. All right, I'm going to introduce our next presenter, Scott Plamondin. For over 29 years, he has been successfully helping people plan for retirement. He uses his accounting and investment background combined with a deep understanding of his clients' financial needs to offer the best possible strategies. Each client is given an in-depth financial statement complete with income and expense analysis tailored to their personal objectives. Recommendations are given on how clients can maximize their total income and wealth by eliminating unnecessary tax expenditures. When it comes to financial planning, experience and knowledge are what really count. Make sure you are on your way to a successful retirement. He specializes in estate planning, business planning, retirement planning, lifetime income strategies, wealth accumulation, tax strategies, alternatives to long-term care, life insurance. Scott earned a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Administration from New Hampshire College. He is a chartered life underwriter, and he has a personal financial planning certificate from the University of California, Irvine. He is fully licensed in life and disability insurance and annuities. Scott served in the U.S. Air Force from 1984 to 1987. Thank you for your service, Scott. He is married with 2 daughters and resides in Mission Viejo, California, where he is an active member of the community. Let's welcome Scott Plamondin.
Thank you, Julie. I really appreciate it. And just to start off, I appreciate you guys being here today. It's great to follow Brian because my blood pressure's up and I'm pumped up, ready to go. All right. So first, I'm going to put something in the share screen here with you guys. Make sure everybody can see this. All right. Is everybody able to see the presentation now?
Yes, we can.
Excellent. All right, so this is a presentation that I've done multiple times for real estate investors, and I know a lot of people on this call are real estate investors as well. And it's a great piece to be able to go through why starting to learn how to become your own source of financing is a huge impact going forward in your life. I mean, that's one of the biggest things. Andrew, I know you're a young guy out there, probably know this, know Julie from the investment side as well. On the real estate side. So this is something vitally important for everyone to know. I appreciate any feedback you guys can give me too as well. So this just says fire your real estate banker. Why do that, right? I'm going to kind of take you through a couple things here. This allows you to become your own source. Like learning how to do this allows you to become your own source of financing going forward. And you can imagine for all the real estate investors out there on the call, you can imagine if you had not only the real estate that you own, but you also had all of the money, or at least the majority of the money that you paid for it. So you had both, right? You had the money, you have the real estate, and you have the money you paid for it. You cut out the middleman, right? You're cutting out the banks in that type of a situation. This is my why. So you guys know a little bit about me. This is my wife, Barbara, my daughter. I told Brian and Julie, I have to update this picture because I'm going up next week for my daughter here on the right side of me is going to graduate from college next week. So, well, in 2 weeks. So I'm going up there to do that. And then my youngest daughter on the left side of me, when you're looking at the screen, the left side, she is just finished her first freshman year of college at the University of Arizona. So really proud parent. And this is my rock all the way over to the right side of the screen there. Barbara holds everything together. For those of you who meet the right person, Barbara and I have been married. We celebrated our 25th wedding anniversary last September, and look forward to another 50 more of those, because I mean, she's just fantastic and holds the glue that holds this whole family together. So, all right. So this workshop today, I'll just go through this really quick. You guys are perfect people to learn about how this works. We work with a lot of wholesalers, flippers, rehabbers, landlords, lien holders, hard money lenders. It's becoming a very popular way where a lot of real estate investors want to stop doing the actual real estate investing, and they want to start doing the lending for the investing. So a lot of different ways to be able to look at that. And again, anything offline that you guys want to learn, I'll put my information in the chat as well and let you guys know how to do that. Get a hold of me as well. Anything you want to learn on that side, I'm more than happy to help you with. Anyone wants to grow wealth, it has to be able to know how to position wealth, like where it flows, right? So as Brian teaches you how to make more money, and Julie teaches you, like shows you different investment opportunities to make money, my job is to take those people with that cash and figure out and show them how to properly use that cash flow to be able to multiply it and make even more money in the future, right? That's the biggest thing when you can look at it, is not making the money. It's basically where do you put it and how do you leverage it for future growth as well. So it's important that a lot of my real estate investors don't want to lose money. That's their biggest question they have, because they want to use it to take more advantage and make future opportunities as well for them. Yeah, real estate goes through ups and downs, right? We haven't had a real estate correction, Julie, in how long? Since 2008. So we've been on a tear, 13 years of increases. But as you guys know, what happened in 2008, real estate goes up, real estate goes down. So having liquidity in those down periods, one of my wealthiest clients, a real estate investor too, and I think I was telling Brian and Julie as well, about 35 to 40% of my clients are real estate investors. That's how many people in real estate really want to understand how cash flow works. So it's important to understand what happened before and be able to be in a position where you can capitalize on those opportunities in the future, because real estate will go up and it'll go down, and you want to be able to be prepared for both of those. As Julie mentioned, I have pretty much every designation I can have. I have the CLU, CHFC, PFP, which is the same training as the CFP has, and a CSA designation as well. I've been in the business now for 30 years. In November of this year, it'll be my 30th complete year of helping clients. And this is a question that I love. A banker is a fellow who will lend you his umbrella when the sun is shining, but wants it back a minute before the rain begins. Most of you guys know what I mean by that. It is very difficult to capitalize on opportunities when times are bad. And that's when people make the most money normally that they made. Like I said, one of my wealthiest clients made the majority of his net worth during 2008. He was buying streets of houses during the correction time periods, sight unseen on the courtroom steps in Long Beach. It was an incredible opportunity. He doubled his money in less than a year and a half. So you want to be prepared for those opportunities that you have. This is just Mark Twain that said it, so I'll just tell that to you too. So this is one of the issues that we have. A lot of people, try to speculate. Most of my real estate guys don't like speculation. They like to buy things, they like to hold them, and they like to create a lifestyle with the income that they make to be able to do that. But this is the reality compared to the 1940s, right? 1940s, 27% of income, every dollar that somebody made was saved. Not a bad savings rate. You can hear that from your parents and your friends and people who have been around a long time. 27% of money people earned was in savings. That's incredible. This is the reality today. 5% goes to savings, 5.4. Everything else is going to right here, debt service, right? So housing costs are a lot higher. A lot of things are much more expensive than they were before. So the key is to try to reverse this. And the way to do that is controlling cash flow, right? You can take this debt service and move it down here into savings and build up your income and your cash flow. You're going to win in the end. It's a much easier lifestyle at that point. This is something right now that we have about 35.99% is going of people's income is going to financing costs, right? So that means it's going to credit cards. Credit cards hit a couple of years ago. Credit cards and student loans just passed last year what credit card debt was to this country, which is just incredible numbers. When kids graduate from college, it's just an expensive proposition. And I have those two girls both in college this year and next year, right? So next year, my daughter who's graduating is going to start her master's in education, and then she's going to stay one more year. So 2 years in a row, I'll have two kids in college, which is a difficult thing to pull off. So you want to be prepared for those things, and we are. So that's just the way it actually goes. So you want to be prepared for anything that comes across. 5.4% savings doesn't leave a lot of money for opportunities for people when they come up, right? So if they want to invest in a piece of real estate, or if they want to buy a business, or if they want to start something for them to be able to use, it's important to be able to understand how that works and what happens. So a lot of people, I know the term isn't around very much anymore because a lot of them have been wiped out in 2008. But one of the words, if you guys have heard this, is day trader, right? How many people know friends that just day trade, right? They make money, and then they lose money, and they make money, they lose money. So it's kind of one of those things. You have a lot of people taking a lot of risk. Most of my real estate guys are not these type of people. They want to be able to grow wealth and have it permanently come in. So they want to replace their own income, right? That's their goal, is to invest in enough property so they don't have to work anymore, and that passive income is providing for their lifestyle. This is one of my favorite slides for most of you guys here. This is the main thing: keep calm and invest in real estate. So real estate has a lot of great attributes to it. Of course, you guys know all of those, or you wouldn't be on this call. And it's one of my favorite investments to work with clients as well. I'm just going to show you, I'm going to go forward here a little bit quickly. So I want to take you guys through, this is home prices, and you can kind of see they'll go up and they'll go down, but they usually hit a flat curve, right? So over time, you'll be able to see that when that happens as well. And then I'm going to show you just a couple things on this one. Let me just fast forward a little bit here. I apologize, some of these screens are just, so this is really what you're looking at, right? So when you want to try to be ready for capital investments, right? You want to be able to have the opportunity to make your mark during down periods, right? So when are you most likely going to need cash, right? Is time periods where we go through a crisis, right? When are the banks least likely to lend to you? Also at that same time. So if my client that made all that money in 2008 when the market collapsed, if he didn't have that cash sitting somewhere where he had liquid access to it with no questions asked, he wouldn't have been able to capitalize on that opportunity, right? Because you don't want to be selling investments during a down market to be able to buy a piece of real estate, right? So now you're selling an asset that you want to keep for the long term at a loss, then trying to invest in real estate, and it's very difficult to pull that off. So you also want to make sure it's the hardest time to sell a property at a fair price, right? So if you're all in on real estate side and you have no liquidity on the outside, it's very difficult to be able to sell that property to invest in another property at the same time. So you want to be prepared for when things happen like that. That's the main thing that you want to do. I'm going to fast forward here a little bit. So this is something that a lot of people have never looked at. Not necessarily the people on this call, but most people don't understand when they purchase a property. I just noticed that amount has two M's on it here. I don't know why they did that. So the loan amortization schedule is important to understand, right? If you have a $250,000 loan over a 30-year period or 360 months, you're going to pay $179,000 in interest over that time period. So, and that's at a 4% interest rate. So if you're talking about an investment property, sometimes you're talking 4 or 5% interest rate. At about 5%, it's almost double. So that means if you pay $250,000 for the property, the bank's going to make another $250,000. So that means you paid $500,000 for the property. You didn't just pay the $250,000, you paid the property plus the interest to the bank. Okay. All right, so let's go through this. I'll show you kind of how the financing side works. This is something that I always like to show people when they're starting to learn how to do this. So when you work on bank financing for investment properties, you have during today, it's good, right? Interest rates are lower. During volatility times though, that's where you have that higher interest rates. The banks are requiring larger down payments. And you go through a period of time where you have vacancy, right? So a lot of people, they have a problem with vacancies when they're working with real estate during bad times, right? So what happened on the real estate side recently that the government put into place about a year ago, right? What did they say to tenants who were renting from somebody? What didn't they have to do?
They didn't have to move out.
Didn't have to pay, right?
Didn't have to
So
right.
it's important to be prepared for situations like that. You could not evict somebody for lack of payment if they were impacted by the virus, right? So if it had any impact on their business or their ability to make income, they didn't have to pay. So for my clients that were prepared for that, right, they had the liquidity to be able to continue to pay the bank, even though the income from the real estate still wasn't happening. So it's a catch-22. You want to be prepared for bad times when something goes wrong. All right, I'm going to take you through one of the investments that we use. So this is something that we've been working with, like I mentioned to you, for about 30 years. The design of these policies is relatively new though, about 15 to 20 years is the design of the newer policies. Policy itself has been around forever, but the liquidity aspect of the policy is relatively new. So if you could design a perfect financial instrument for real estate investment, right? And ultimately for retirement after that, right? So you can not only use this during your accumulation period to purchase your real estate, but also have it for retirement income on a tax-favored platform, right? What would it be, right? What would the characteristics be to make a perfect investment? First is liquidity, right? That's my real estate people, right? They want liquidity to purchase properties on the spot, right away. They want to be able to capitalize on having that property purchased, right? It's emergency access for whatever opportunity that comes up. And this is like my guy on the courtroom steps in Long Beach. That's where he made his money. He had it all liquid. He knew he had the ability to be able to do it. You want it safe, right? So you do not want to have the issue where if something goes wrong, right? If the market's down or if the real estate's down, that your liquidity aspect is affected by that. So this allows you to be able to have that safe so that if something goes wrong, you have access to that money. You want the guarantee on the principal side. You don't want to have to be able to risk your principal in a downward market for that liquidity. Guarantees on growth. You want to have a track record, right? Most of the companies that we used to be able to do this are over 100 years old on average. These are the oldest companies in the industry that we use to do these investments. And at the same time, the carriers that we use, we own the company. So as a policy holder, right? So I'll show you how this works. We actually own a piece of that company, which allows all the profits to come back to us. We also want it to grow tax-free, right? So we don't want to have to pay taxes on it in the future either. So we want tax-free access. So when my client took out $1 million to be able to purchase real estate with it, there was no tax ramifications to that either. So you want to have a tax-free chassis on both the gains and the principal. And you don't want any contribution limits. As you purchase more real estate, you want to be able to save more, right? And you want to be able to finance more. So you want to keep that cycle moving all the time. So, and you want flexibility, right? So this is the main thing. Whatever comes up and you have an opportunity to purchase a piece of real estate or whatever you want to use the money for, a business or whatever, you have the ability to be able to do that. And again, you want it to go as tax favored as possible if something happens to you, right? So you want it to go to tax-free to the beneficiaries if something happens to you in the end. This is another one. A lot of clients are worried about probate. I have a client that I'm working with now who her husband was a CPA, great guy, didn't believe in living trusts. She's been in probate during the coronavirus. Her husband died right before Corona started, right? They were just starting to go through the process for probate. She's been in probate and not been able to get her money out of the bank account that they had together for almost 2 years. So it's been 1 year and 4 months now that she has not had access to her own money. Just incredible problem if you don't have everything functioning correctly. And I know you guys are going to get this from from Bruce Jones when you talk to him next time. So it's going to be good for you to learn about how that works. So does it exist? Absolutely. This is something that's been around forever. The new design of the policies is relatively new, but the product itself has been around. It's a certain type of insurance contract that we use. Now, it's not designed for death benefit. It does have a death benefit. That's what allows to go to the beneficiaries tax-free, but it doesn't use the death benefit as its primary vehicle. It uses the policy for its ability to have the tax-free access. So these are new types of policies. There's not very much on the commission side involved in them. So they're really designed to be able to accrue cash to be able to use as quickly as possible. All right, so 160 years old, we kind of went through this already. They've paid dividends every year for over 100 years, almost all of these carriers. And we have a lot of flexibility that we didn't have before as well. And anybody know what the current rate is on a checking account balance at your current bank? You're just a national banking. Anybody want to take a quick guess?
Take a guess of about 0.05%, 0.75%. It's not even a full 1%. It's a basis point.
Yep. Current rate at my bank is 0.09 on checking, which is absolutely incredibly unbelievable. Where my policy, money that I store in the contract, remember, I'm storing money there to be able to use to take back out for my investments that I want to use, is 4%. Tax-free, which is equivalent to having a bank account earning about 7%. Now, it takes a little bit of time to get to that point, but throughout the rest of your lifetime, you'll have that money growing at a 4% tax-free rate, which is fantastic to be able to use to store cash. Now, remember, this is storing liquid cash there to be able to use for future investments for you guys to be able to utilize. Again, you become your own source of financing. You don't have to answer to anybody when you're doing that. Again, this is the newer types of policies. They're mutual carriers. We own the company. So it's something to be able to understand on that side too. And that's the concept itself is called bank on yourself, right? This is going to be the last slide that I share for you guys, but it takes you through the banking policies. I know, Julie, I'm pretty much just about out of time as well. So these banking types of policies are designed to be able to provide liquidity, and you're going to use it like you use, I know, Joyce, I don't know if you did this, but my parents, I remember going to the credit union with them when I was a little boy, and my dad and my mom would come with us, so we'd all go together, and my mom had a Christmas club and a vacation club. Did you have those when you were growing up? Where your parents, every time my dad got paid, my mom would put money in the Christmas club and money in the vacation club, right? And every Christmas she drained it to zero, right? And every vacation she drained that to zero, but it didn't stop her. The next week she started depositing again in that account. What this does is it's the same concept as that, but imagine having that same type of policy, earning 4% tax-free and being able to access that money without giving up that 4%. Right. So think about that. If my dad would have used this type of policy instead of using a credit union account that he used every month, he would have had an extra $300,000-$400,000 of retirement assets to be able to retire on down the road. Huge difference in somebody's life by understanding how cash flow works as well. So I'm going to open it up. Does anybody have any questions as far as the banking concept itself goes, or how it works? Or this is exactly what Walt Disney did to start Disneyland out here. The banks all rejected him. They didn't want anything to do with Disneyland. They thought he was crazy. You know, it was all orange groves. They wanted nothing to do with it. So he went into his own policy and financed Disneyland himself. So great way to look at it. J.C. Penney did the same thing to stabilize his company during the Great Depression. He's been around forever. Banks wouldn't lend him money, so he went into his policy and was able to pay his employees their income during bad times as well. Doris Christopher, Pampered Chef, everybody knows her. She started her company by a policy loan from her contract as well. So a great way to leverage money. Something to look up if you guys are interested in learning more about cash flow is type in the term family banking in Google, and you'll read the story of the Rothschilds. The Rothschilds are one of the oldest families in the world. Very, very well known. Everybody kind of knows who the Rothschilds are. They made their fortune off of financing money, right? So they were the ones that started the first banking systems in Europe of lending money to other people that were going forward. So really important to understand if you can get into how cash works. It's one thing to make it. It's another thing to be able to save it in the correct position so you can leverage it for future growth and create your income stream.
Okay, Christopher Hawk has a question. Go ahead.
I got it right. I'm learning how to use the Zoom stuff here, guys. Watch out, I'm a little dangerous now. I learned how to raise my hand today. And I'm gonna try to lower it. Thank you. By the way, I'm a licensed insurance agent. Scott, are you licensed as a life and health agent?
Yes, in
Okay,
pretty much
that.
all the states. You know, I'm licensed in about 30 different states. So
same here. Okay, and by the way, I just want to share, just to piggyback what you said for the other viewers. The concept has been around forever. I've studied it too. I've been in the business 30 years. So I just want everybody to know that it's more than a concept. It definitely has a proven track record. So that's about it. I just wanted to let everybody know that I was invited here today, so I'm backing these guys up.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
job.
Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, this is Bruce. Hang on one second. I got to get off. There we go. Yeah, not to get in the technical terms, but I do have a question because I have an insurance background as well, Scott. But when you're funding this, how do you get away from a modified endowment contract so you don't change the character of the tax issues?
Yep, we actually fund it correctly. So every carrier has a funding chart, like an illustration that we have. So we just have to follow the IRS rules to be able to do that. It's called the 7-pay test, and we just fund it over a period of time. So that's how we get away with it. You can't put one payment in and then pass that rule. That we would lose the tax-free access in that case. So all the policies we do pass the 7-pay test.
All right, so
can you couple that?
Can you couple that with a side fund and have that side fund periodically fund the policy over that time frame?
Absolutely. We can use what's called a 10-pay immediate annuity. So for my client that had that $1 million sitting in his brokerage account, we can use, he can either leave it in the brokerage account and draw 10% per year funded, or we did a SPIA in his case, a single premium immediate annuity, paying over the next 10 years. Okay. So we used that policy to be able to pay the money into the policy from there. So we made sure he'd have that money to pay the premium going forward.
Terrific. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Excellent.
Thanks for the question too. Thanks for the question, guys.
Yes.
Could you put your email in that chat for us? Is that the best way to get a hold of you, or do like a meeting or your phone number? Whatever's best. Great job too.
Yes, Scott, go ahead and let us know what your email address is. Oh, and he put it in the chat, but go ahead and say your email address for the recording.
Yep. So you can get a hold of me, and my direct email is right in the chat too. It's scott@spwealthadvisors.com. And you'll see that on there as well. And my phone number is 949-394-5433.
Excellent.
And I'm putting that in the chat as well.
Thank you
and
so
feel free,
much.
even if you just have questions or anything like that. You know, not a lot of people I know, not a lot of people do these type of policies. And the reason for that, honestly, is you know, a lot of people don't want to sell them. They don't make as much money, right? So this is a very low commission type of policy versus what a lot of people out there want to sell. They want to make a bunch of money on each client they deal with. So we don't do those.
Scott, one other quick question. How does private placement life insurance tie into what you're talking about here?
Yeah, so super wealthy clients that we deal with, you have to have a minimum net worth in order to be able to do private placement insurance policies, which we do as well. Those are usually for people looking to contribute, you know, $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 per year, and they want to keep it on the variable side, right? So they want it to be invested in the stock market along the way. So for private placement insurance, you have to be a qualified investor, right? So you have to have the net worth in order to be able to do it, but it's a great option for people. It also is tax-free, tax deferred, and tax-free income side, as long as you structure it properly as well. So those are very higher end clients who are looking to put away, you know, $100,000 to $1 million per year or more.
Couldn't the PPLI also be used as the funding tool for the real estate?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. It's difficult because you don't really want to lend against a volatile portfolio. So you have to be careful. When some people are using a variable arrangement to be able to save money, it's difficult to time when to borrow money to be able to do investments, because the market can go up and down. I mean, I have a variable policy that I've had for 25 years. I made 67% was the most I ever made in 1 year, but I lost 63% another year.
Mhm.
So you can't time when to borrow from that type of an asset. So normally when we're doing lending type of options, we're using the larger mutual companies in a whole life arrangement, which doesn't have that volatility.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Perfect.
All right, excellent. Any other questions? You know how to reach Scott, and it is 12:02, so I want to go ahead and wrap it up here. So I'd like to thank Brian and Scott for sharing their wisdom and time with us today. Thank you to all of you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to join us. And we hope that you enjoyed the time together and you may benefit from the information that was provided. Ed and I are creating a series of presentations for this year, and we'd like your input. Please let us know if there are any subjects or topics that would be of interest to you. And again, I'm talking with Bruce Jones, tax wealth expert, and Brooks Travis to do presentation in July. So you'll hear more about that coming soon, hopefully, right, Bruce?
Yes, ma'am.
And thanks again for your time today, and take good care.
Thank you both for your
Thanks, guys.
presentations. They were great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Appreciate it, Bruce.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.